Emily Khan here, 4 seconds out with Jordan the Thrill Gill, living up to the Thrill moniker in recent fights as well too. Jordan, how's life?
Life is good. Everything's blessed.
How's getting to the weight a lot easier, I guess, than it was at featherweight?
So much easier. I'm just having to eat so much. I'm just so full. I feel a little bit of fat being at super featherweight.
In terms of Zelfa Barrett, how much had he been maybe on your radar whilst you were, at the lower weights and things? Is he a fighter that you kept tabs on as for a fighter that you maybe thought you'd meet in the future?
No, not at all. Not at all. I never thought that I'd fight Zelfa, especially when I was down at featherweight. It wasn't on my radar at all. I said, watch his fights. I was always a fan of his style of boxing. I thought he's very good. So I always watched his fights, but it was never on my radar in that sense.
He's a fully fledged super featherweight. You'll be making your second fight at super featherweight after facing and knocking out Michael Conlan. Do you feel that you've fully kind of fleshed into super featherweight now? That maybe when people might question you up against like a fully fledged super featherweight there, that won't be an issue. That your talents and you being at the weight in your second fight, you're established here.
I think I'm established at super feather. I feel like I'm a decent sized super feather. I feel strong at super feather. You're seeing the best performance from me at super feather, but whether there's still room to grow, I think there might be.
There's been a note about power being a key maybe in this fight. Now you're no stranger to power yourself, nor is Zelfa Barrett. Who do you think has the edge in that power in the fight?
I think he punches harder than me, for sure.
No, does it ever change your mentality knowing that going into a fight, if a fighter has that dig over you?
Yeah, you think, I don't want him to hit me.
That's where you kind of have those fleet feet to navigate around the ring. But it seems like when you've moved over to the Ben Davison Performance Center, it's more about standing your ground and finding those shots and getting those hurtful shots in. So do you feel like you return to more of the Gill of old in this fight?
Yeah, it sort of takes me back to my amateur days in my last fight, where I used to come forward on the front foot. But this fight is a lot different to the Michael Conlan fight. Every opponent's different. Every opponent gives you different challenges and has different attributes and different weaknesses to exploit. And this fight is completely different to the Conlan fight. So you're going to see a different version of me again. Maybe there'll be more back foot. Maybe there won't. We're going to have to assess, and whoever adapts the best in this fight will win.
Large part of the game in amongst the team is to study and watch tape. Have you done more or less the same amount of studying for this fight than you did Conlan?
Yeah, maybe a touch more.
Why is that?
I think this is a harder fight. I think this is a more physical fight. I think Zelfa has more styles of boxing than Conlan, and I need to win.
As a fighter, look, in previous camps, I imagine you've done your research on the fight and you'd watch that tape, but this level of tape watching, this level of studying and game planning, how big is the gap than what you've had beforehand in setting up camps when you do this side of things?
Night and day. Yeah, it's completely different.
Is it difficult to do it? Is it difficult to take on all that information on as a fighter when beforehand you kind of you have a game plan and then you adapt to it, but then you've got to remember all that information in the background and then affect it?
It's very, very difficult. You have to have the right attitude to pick up on everything, and you have to repeat and repeat to get it into your head. It's not an easy thing to do.
So how much of it were you able to do in the Conlan fight? Because it feels like just straightforward, because you got that finish, you must be able to affect all of it. But did you affect all of that in that fight?
Not all of it. Some of it wasn't necessary. Some of it I made mistakes. Some of it I did perfectly. So the result sometimes overshadows the performance, and everyone, because they didn't expect me to win. They were saying, "Oh, it's a great performance," but I still made mistakes in that fight. I still took shots in that fight, and every time you want to improve as a fighter, so it's time to eradicate those mistakes and give myself a better performance. So that's what we've been working on.
With respect to the fight and the fighter in the form of Zelfa Barrett, were you off the back of the win over Michael Conlan looking for maybe a little bit something bigger?
Yeah, before the Conlan fight, they said the winner will go on to a world title fight. I think that if Conlan won, he would have got a world title shot. But Eddie said to me, or said on an interview, you have to have another high-profile fight to get a world title shot. And they said, can you fight Zelfa? I said, yeah.
One of the brave things that you did, of course, not only in the form of fighting and getting in the ring, was, of course, sharing your story about one of the lowest moments, or maybe the lowest moment of your life. Just wanted to ask you, how difficult was it to go through the process of wanting to share that and then deciding, look, I'm gonna say this after the fight, regardless of what happens. I want to let people know of the position I was in. Was that a difficult process to do yourself?
I didn't really think about it. It just come out. When you have an emphatic win after a good fight like that, you overcome with emotion and things just happen. So I just wanted to. I was given the platform. I wanted to share how difficult it was for me to get to that point, to get back in the ring, and then obviously come back after 14 months out with a performance like that. I thought it'd help people understand, but then obviously the bounce back of that is like, oh wow, Jordan Gill, you helped me so much. I was in a similar position. Thanks for speaking out, that sort of thing. I didn't really do it for that, but that's what's come off of it.
Speaking of promises, I imagine that you've had a word with Eddie Hearn and he's promised you something big. Is that world title next, you feel, or was that big fight that you're looking for next? What has he kind of promised in front of you?
I've not spoken to him yet. I will speak to him once I beat Zelfa.
Fair enough. Just a couple of things before I let you go. In that gym, Lee Wood, Warrington, there's no real movement on that. What can you tell us about that fight as to whether that's going to materialise?
I'm not 100% sure. I think that's the fight for them both. And it's a fight that everybody wants to see. I'd like to see it again. It's a fantastic fight. Two top fighters. But yeah, no, I'm not sure myself yet.
How much of your time have you been able to spend with AJ whilst he's been at the gym?
Yeah, I see him most days. He's either coming in and I'm coming out, or etc. So, yeah, it's good to watch him train and good to see how he approaches fights and the professionalism that he shows. So, yeah, he's a good guy.
He was doing some kicks the other day.
Well, I didn't see that.
You didn't see it?
I missed that one.
Looked pretty good, and looked pretty good against Francis Ngannou. It was an emphatic performance. Now, a lot of people are kind of saying that off of the back of that, they're cross-referencing the performance against Tyson Fury and saying that if Fury and Joshua were to meet now, Josh is probably the heavy favourite. You feel the same way?
I wouldn't say heavy favourite, but I'd make him the favourite. I feel like that AJ's in his prime and you're going to see some really intelligent performances from him now. And Fury, he's looked maybe on the slide, especially against Ngannou. But he's got a tough fight himself against Usyk. So hopefully we see the fight in the future, but we'll see.
Jordan, the final word with you. You said you'll speak to Eddie Hearn when you beat Zelfa Barrett. What happens in the ring on Saturday night?
Blood and guts all over the place.
Blood and guts and another thrill, Jordan. The thrill, Gill. Thanks for speaking to SecondsOut, sir. All the best for the fight.